You and your research team recently received a $900,000 grant. Who gave it to you and what was it for?
So I was fortunate this past spring to receive a grant from Genzyme, which is a division of Sanofi. And they're a company that has a long-standing dedication to developing treatments for rare and neglected diseases. They kind of break the mold of most companies that seek to develop treatments for diseases that have a ton of patients and in so doing increase profit. But I'm really happy to partner with Genzyme because their goal is really to develop treatments for rare and neglected diseases. So specifically what the grant is for is to develop a treatment for Gucci 2D LCA1, and by treatment I mean a gene replacement therapy. So more specifically, what we're going to be doing is looking at several different vectors, and specifically we're using AAV or adeno-associated virus. And so you can think of AAV in that it comes in a variety of flavors. So what this funding is going towards is figuring out the optimal flavor of AAV in order to most efficiently deliver the therapeutic gene, Gucci 2D, to the patient's photoreceptors. And then ultimately we'll do safety studies. We hope that within 2 years we'll finish with those studies, submit our IND application, and that within 3 years we'll be in the clinic.
That's amazing. What role has FFB played in advancing your career?
It has played an enormous role. This is kind of a funny story. As scientists, you go through a very tough slog of submitting an innumerable amount of grant applications, and you have to deal with a lot of rejection in the beginning. But I remember it was actually my birthday, and I found out that I got my first grant, and it was from the FFB. I got the email from Amy Laster, and I remember where I was sitting with my husband and my kids, and I think I levitated off the chair and did a little dance. So I will be forever grateful to the foundation for sort of starting off my research career, and using that funding I was able to generate preliminary data that went towards the successful competition for an R01 grant, an NIH level grant.
Is the financial support for this project that you mentioned earlier good news for people with retinal diseases in general?
Yeah, I think it's very good news because up to this point there has not yet been an AAV-based gene therapy targeting photoreceptors in the clinic. So we believe that developing a treatment for Gucci 2D LCA1 serves as a framework for other diseases associated with photoreceptor defects. And the vast majority of inherited retinal diseases are associated with mutations in genes that are expressed in photoreceptors. I think on another level, I think every gene replacement therapy that makes its way to the clinic is going to lessen the inertia at the level of the regulatory agencies. They do a very good job of being very conservative, as they should, because our primary goal is safety. But I think the more and more gene replacement trials that make their way to the clinic, the easier and easier it's going to be for the scientists that come after me to bring their gene replacement therapies to the clinic.